and this is the course 4. Yesterday, I hope we did just an overview of it.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, being a weekend, it's a Sunday. I hope you all are, you must have been busy since morning. Yeah, with all your classes going on. I think from 10 o'clock it started, I think so.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
ma'am.
Right. And it goes on up till 5:30 or 5. What time does it? 6:30.
6:30.
Oh my
6:30.
God. Oh my God. Okay. That's really, I mean, quite exhausting.
Our date with BRAU.
Yes, yes. So, right. So let us move on to block 1. Let me just share the screen. Right. So you all are aware, yesterday we did an overview of the entire 5 blocks, isn't it? So we are going to talk about the growth and structure of English, right?
Yesterday I didn't come to class, ma'am.
You missed the class yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no issues. That's what I'm now. Today I'll be starting blockwise, isn't it? Yesterday it was just a summarizing of the entire course. Okay, nothing you've missed. Yeah, today I'll be starting with the actual teaching. Okay, right. So here the first block. Okay, what does it talk? It talks about the origin and nature of language. Okay, the language part of it and growth of English, the later part of it. Okay. So basically the course is all about to know the growth and structure of English. But before knowing this language English, we need to know what exactly is language. Apart from English, there are several other languages, but what is basically a language? So that is what we need to understand before plunging into the language English. Okay. So we are going to talk about what language is and why do we have to study this language, and other systems of communication, and the evolution of language in general, and the evolution of English language, and the foreign element in English vocabulary, because English as such is not English anymore, isn't it? There are several other languages which have infused into this English language. Okay, then moving on to the next slide. Right. So basically, what is language? Right? So can you just give me some points like you told me yesterday, right?
Ma'am, it's a way of communication.
Mm-hmm.
It can be in actions, it can be in words, it can be like
Yes.
the person need to understand what
Yes.
you're trying to say.
Yes.
And it's not only listening, it comes
Yes.
in reading, writing, listening,
Yes.
speaking. All this consists of a language.
Yes, yes, yes. So language, basically it is like a conveyor. It's a mode. It's a medium, isn't it? whatever you have to say, you need to use some kind of, transportation, isn't it, to convey it, isn't it? So that is what is language. So it's a structured system of communication that consists of grammar and vocabulary. It is the primary means by which humans convey meaning, both in spoken and written forms, and may also be conveyed through sign languages. I hope you all remember, we also spoke about the other languages called sign languages. Okay, language basically doesn't mean it has to be verbal, oral. There are certain languages which are, signals, symbols, sign languages. Okay. So language is foremost a means of communication, and communication almost always takes place within some sort of social context. This is why effective communication requires an understanding and recognition of the connections between a language and the people who use it. Now, these connections are complex. For example, they tell you when to use slang with a friend or a formal language with a boss, how to judge a candidate's campaign speeches, and whether to abbreviate an email. All of these acts require knowledge of the language, as well as the cultural and social forces acting on that language. So that is very, very important. For example, there are a few symbols also. Now you can even, take it as ways of communicating. For example, when you're walking on the road, you find some symbols such as a skull with two bones. What does it indicate? A skull with two bones.
Danger.
Yeah, danger. Very good. You can immediately looking at, you can understand. Then there is a traffic signal where it doesn't say stop or ready or, go, but it has colors, isn't it? By seeing the color, red, you have to stop, yellow, they are also conveying something, isn't it? They're also communicating. So when I say, their language can be in the form of a sign language or a symbols, or it can be a written language or a spoken language. So it can be gestures and so on. Okay, that is what is language. Now, moving on to the uses of language. Yeah. So if you look at the simplest level, just now one of you told, you mentioned it. What was it? The uses? The simplest use. It's a tool for communicating. Very good. Information, requests, and orders. Okay. Now, this is one of the, the commonest use of the language, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So sometimes, the functions of language are communication, expression, representation, control, social interaction, personal reinforcement, learning aid, and cultural transmission. Now, these functions enable individuals to convey information, express emotions, represent ideas, and regulate behavior, maintain social relationships, support personal identity, facilitate learning, and transmit cultural norms and values. Okay. So basically, as per your language, the 8 uses have been given of the language in your book, and they are as such. It's a tool for communicating information and to form and maintain social relationships, for ceremonial purposes, as an instrument of action, to record events of the past, to convey ideas, and for self-expression, to talk about language itself. Okay. And there are several things, not just 8, there are several uses of language. You all agree with me? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Now, when you have to study, yeah?
What is linguistics and what is phonetics?
Linguistics is study of language. Phonetics is the study of sounds, the phone. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Language study is not just about translating words. Now, there is something, what is the use and benefit of language study? So here, It gives you a better insight into people and their different cultures and helps you to learn about a country's past and present and give you insight into cultural differences and similarities. Okay, now, for example, now you have to study the literature, the British literature. It's nothing but, again, you are studying the language of that particular country, isn't it? So, what are the benefits of it? This is what it happens. Like, you will get a better insight into people and their different cultures and helps you to learn about a country's past and present and give you insight into cultural differences and similarities. So, studying how people use language, what words and phrases they unconsciously choose and combine can help us better understand ourselves and why we behave the way we do. So, linguistics scholars seek to determine what is unique and universal about the language we use, how it is acquired, and the ways it changes over time. Right? So, now it's the linguistics, it is the linguists or the linguistics is the study of language. Now, they are the people who actually study about languages, different languages, and what is that which is similar in some of the languages. How do these languages differ? And they try to kind of come up with a lot of information about linguistics or the language. Right. Now, there are a few misconceptions about language. Now, what are they? Right? Now, there are a kind of, misconceptions are nothing but fallacies. I mean, you try to uh, believe in it, okay, without a proper, you're irrational, you try to believe it. There are misconceptions about language. Like, for example, you have the etymological fallacy, okay, and then you have the logical fallacy, you have prescriptive fallacy, a fallacy of extending rules of writing to speech. Now, coming to the etymological fallacy. Right. Etymology, what does it mean? It means, yeah?
Origin.
Origin. Okay, the study of. Okay, so the study of and the origin and history of words, okay, and their meanings. That is etymology. Okay, that's study of words and their meanings. Okay, and sometimes I hear my own voice as an echo. Yeah.
Asad Mushir, Pujita Kosaraju, Prasad. Sir, can you please?
Namburi Prasad. Namburi Prasad. Namburi Prasad గారు మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి. మీరు మీ వల్లనే డిస్టర్బెన్స్ మొత్తం ఈకోయింగ్ అక్కడి నుంచి వస్తుంది.
Madam, go ahead.
Yeah. That's what I'm just trying to open the thing. Hold on. Right. Thank you so much. I know at times we, without our knowledge, we try to open or unmute ourselves and, we actually have no idea about it. But thanks for cooperating, right? So sometimes there is, the belief that that an earlier or the earliest meaning of a word is necessarily the right one. So that it is fallacious, which is illustrated by the fact that orchard once meant a treeless garden. Now, triacle, a wild beast, a villain, a farm laborer. Now, for example, these words I'm trying to give you because we have a misconception that the words of the olden origin are right. Sometimes the ones which we come across at present must be incorrect. So that is called the etymological fallacy. Okay. Now, for example, there is something called aggravate. Okay. Aggravate, sometimes we use it in the place of annoy. Okay. Now, stop aggravating me. Okay, what does it mean? The word aggravate is often used in informal speech to mean annoy. Okay, stop aggravating me. Instead of saying stop annoying me, we use this word aggravating me. So this is a kind of a misconception about that particular word. So that is called as etymological fallacy. Okay, now we have another one, that is the logical fallacy. Okay, what does this mean? It's like an argument. If you are arguing, avoid fallacies of thought because they create weaknesses in an argument. For example, one small statement I'll tell you. In the logical fallacy, now she's not happy. This is the statement. I'm sorry, she's not unhappy. This is the statement. In the logical fallacy, if you look at it, the moment I tell you this sentence, she's not unhappy, what do you take it? You please tell me.
She is happy.
She is happy. This is what is a logical fallacy. I mean, the reason we take it, which is not mentioned here, and we do not know, there is a lot of gap between happy and unhappy, isn't it? Now, how can you, assume that she is happy? It's not mentioned here. That she is not unhappy doesn't mean that she is happy. Yeah, there is something in between to both of this, isn't it? So this is called logical fallacy. You got my point?
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. Now, the prescriptive fallacy. See, for example, one example I'll tell you. In the functions of a grammar, we kind of tell people how they should use the language in question. So grammar then becomes something like do's and don'ts. So for example, you might have heard some grammar teachers saying that the sentence which I'm going to tell you now is incorrect. For example, Sushila is taller than me. This is incorrect as per the grammar. It has to be
Sheila is taller than I.
Okay. But did you ever notice most of us prefer saying the first sentence, isn't it? Yes or no? So this is called a prescriptive fallacy. Yes, this is called prescriptive fallacy, where we kind of prescribe, we kind of tell them. It's a fallacy, it's a misconception. Okay, but either way, it is correct. Okay, and that is why most of the earlier grammars, like Renan Martin and Nesfield, they are, these kind of prescriptions are found in earlier grammars. But modern grammars are descriptive and not prescriptive. I mean, it has to change according to the situation, isn't it? It should not be a prescriptive one. So it's a prescriptive fallacy. Now, there's again another misconception of extending rules of writing to speech. See, in writing, there is one rule. Sometimes when you are speaking, either it will be colloquial, either it will be informal, but still people expect the return or the rules of the writing grammar also to be extended into the speech. Now, for example, sometimes you would have heard people saying, hey, who do you want? Isn't it? Don't we hear this sentence? Oh, or another sentence I'll give you. The man who I spoke to was a minister once. Okay. Who is incorrect there? It has to be whom, isn't it? So we kind of extend rules of writing to speech. Honestly speaking, when it is a formal speech, following the grammar rules is, yes, quite necessary. But when it is a colloquial, when it is a kind of an informal speech, I'm sure it should not be that important, isn't it? Yeah. Now, these are some of the fallacies of misconceptions about language. That is etymological fallacy, the logical fallacy, the prescriptive fallacy, and the fallacy of extending rules of writing to speech. Right. Now, going on to the second unit, that is language and other systems of communication. Here we are going to study about the design features of language. Now tell me, what is this basically? What does it mean, design features of language? What is it made up of? What are the features of language? So if you look at language, as we all know, They're all vocal symbols because language is speech initially. You all understand that? You all agree with me? What is language? Basically, it is speech.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Because initially the primitive man started with sounds, started speaking. He never wrote it first. So whenever you get this word language, it is the speech first. So linguistic symbols are primarily vocal symbols. Okay. They're by the voice. Okay. By the voice and how you pronounce it, they created some kind of a symbol to it, that kind of a sound. Okay. Then the next thing is linguistic symbols display duality of patterning. So duality of patterning, the discrete speech sounds of a language combine to form discrete morphological units, which do not have meaning in itself. Now, these morphemes have to be further combined to form meaningful words and sentences. Now, what is duality of patterning is? First, it has two levels. Yes, very good. One is the sounds, symbols. Yes, morphemes, and they are meaningless. Now you take one morpheme, for example, one bit of a word. Okay. Now, for example, if I say, give me one word as an example. Okay, static. If I use this word static. Now, from that, if I just pull out a morpheme, say, for example, STA, sta, does it have any meaning? No. So that's in first level. So first and foremost, all the sounds, in bits and pieces put together and make a meaningful word is the second level. The first level is the morpheme, where you have these words. Okay. They are the morphological units. Okay. The sounds of a language are the first level. Putting them together to form a meaningful word is the second level. That's called duality of patterning. That's the designing feature of a language. Got it?
Ma'am, is it like morphemes are like 1, 2 is wana, wana, or like it is like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
WANNA. It's wana, something like that.
Okay.
Want
Hey.
to. I want to.
No,
I wanna. Something like that.
Wanna is in fact, it's not at all a proper word. It's a contracted form of I want to. Okay. That is not at all a formal word. That's how you don't see wanna in a dictionary. Okay.
Yes.
So, that's what. So morphemes are the tiny bits of words, the constituent parts of a word, a meaningful word. Okay. The basic element of a word are called morphemes.
Do we have morphemes?
Yeah, we have this in our course. We have it in our course in the second block.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be doing it. So as of now, we are just doing language. Okay, don't be in a hurry to get into that next thing because you will not be able to focus on this part of it. Okay, ma?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. So then moving on to the next one. Now, linguistic symbols are arbitrary. So arbitrary is, there is no intrinsic or logical connection between the form of specific language signals and the nature of the specific meanings they represent. Okay.
For example,
yes, you tell me. Yeah.
In English, we call a chair. In Urdu, why do we call it a kursi?
Kursi. Very good. Very good. Very good. So there is absolutely no connection between the, tell me. The language, specific language.
Yes.
Yeah, the words. Very good. Very good. That's the best example for arbitrary. Okay. These are some of the designing features of language. So each one, even for the example, dog, you have different words and different. Had that dog, if at all you take that animal dog, if it has to be pronounced as dog because it looks like a dog, then every other language would have called it as dog only. Do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it is arbitrary in nature. Right. Now we move on to the other systems of communication. Okay. So what are you tell me other systems of communication? When it is, what are the other systems of communication? Yeah.
Gestures, sign language.
Yes. And you also have, for I think, there's a sign language for deaf and dumb people. Yes. Mute.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Deaf and mute people, you have a sign language. And that doesn't use words, but gestures, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And you also have sign language such as, there are national varieties of sign language, such as British Sign Language, American Sign Language.
And Braille be called as a language, ma'am?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you have Morse code. So these are different, systems of communication. If you have to communicate, those are the different. Then the last one is the animal communication. But it is quite different, isn't it? Yeah. They are, I mean, their communication is mere sounds, isn't it? You'll agree with me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And
Yeah.
they are not
So
similar
this
to, yes.
body
Yes.
language is also one kind of communication.
Yes, because there's a honeybee, which mostly, because of the way it moves around to, it's a kind of a communication for a honeybee. When it spots that there is a kind of a honey or a food somewhere in some plant, it tries to convey to the other bees in the community, in its own community. And it kind of, has a body language where it moves in a kind of a fashion like a dance. And then the other bees gets to know that there is a honey stored in somewhere. So that's again another way of communication. That's called animal communication. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question comes, madam, difference between language, animal communication, and
Yeah. I didn't get you.
difference
Yes.
between language and animal communication.
Yeah. You want me to explain about the language and difference between animal communication?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. We have it here. Yes, we do have it in the next chapter. I'm going it in accordingly. Right.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you please share these slides in WhatsApp?
Okay, definitely. I'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll do it. Right. So here one of you asked me the differences between language and animal communication. That is duality of structure. Yeah. Just now we spoke about the duality of structure. Yeah, we have it in terms of phonetic sounds and then a proper words. But whereas the animals don't have it, isn't it? Then we have something called displacement. What is it? Displacement refers to? Now this is one difference. Yeah.
Without bonding to time. By
Yes.
sitting at home, we can discuss about Palestine issues and
Yes,
US
very
issues
good.
and like
We are
that.
able to talk, even write about events which happened in other places. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yeah, we are
ma'am.
able to talk about what is going to happen in future. Yeah, that's called displacement, is the ability to use language to talk about things and events not present in the immediate environment. Okay, it enables us to describe things and places which we are not even so sure of their existence. So the meaning of animal signals, by contrast, is restricted to the setting in which they are used. A hunger cry, for example, means that hunger is present now, not yesterday or tomorrow, isn't it? The dogs bark, seeing at an anonymous person. Okay. And they don't just simply bark for no reason. I mean, at present, they're always at present. They don't, bark when they are hungry at present, not they're going to be hungry tomorrow, isn't it? Not for the future or not even for the past. Present, isn't it? When they see somebody, some new person, they start barking at present. Okay. Yeah. Then there is something called stimulus freedom. Okay. So here, what does it stimulus freedom means? Animal communication is stimulus bound, but whereas human communication is stimulus freedom. I mean, we are free of stimulus. Now, animals, when it is hungry, okay, hunger is the stimulus for a particular signal. Okay. And based on that, they start, probably they smell something that's a stimulus, then they start barking. Okay. And mostly the external stimuli for them. Okay. Or maybe the sight of a rival or an enemy. Okay. Then, whereas human beings, what's the difference? It's stimulus free. Now, for example, one may be watching a TV, okay, and suddenly watching television, a documentary on mountain climbing, and suddenly you may ask for somebody asking them when would the exam be, the next exam, or when is our Ambedkar University's class will be held. I mean, you're watching something else on the television, something relevant to a mountaineering and mountain climbing, and suddenly you switch on to something else. So it is not stimulus bound, isn't it? It is stimulus free. Okay. Now I'll give you a small example of conversation between two people. Here you can get a clear picture of stimulus free. Now this is one person says, "How do you like my new dress?" Leela says that. Then Mala says, "Hey, where did you buy it?" "Why? Doesn't it look nice?" Leela asks. Then Mala says, "And how much did you pay for it?" Look at this conversation. None of them are answering that question. They are posing question after question. Did you notice this? If it is stimulus bound, the moment someone poses a question, you will kind of answer immediately to it. Instead, it is like you are free of the stimulus. I mean, there is nothing like you are bound to this kind of a stimulus. Got it? And there is again specialization, open-endedness, and creativity, right? Now, specialization, which refers to the fact that communicating person should not or need not have a total physical involvement in the act of communication. Now, for example, I'll tell you, when the dog is barking, okay, suddenly we notice that there is something it has come in contact with, either some rival, another dog, or some unknown person. So it is barking. So there is a kind of a physical involvement of the dog, isn't it? But when it comes to human beings, yeah, you are working on something and simultaneously you can talk, isn't it? With your hands working on something, you can talk. Yes, talking to someone. Yeah.
Yes.
And while watching TV or listening to a radio, you can still talk to somebody. Yeah. We can even eat while talking. So this is called specialization. So this kind of a feature, only human beings have it. Whereas when it comes to dog, their physical involvement at that particular point and spot is very, very, I mean, it is seen, it is observable. You observe it. Yeah. You see a dog when it barks, you immediately notice, hey, there is something. Okay. You notice it like that. And it doesn't do anything. While it barks, when it sees a new intruder, it is not taking its food. It will stop eating and then it will start barking. I mean, it does one thing at a time. Next, coming to open-endedness and creativity or productivity. So the capacity of language users to produce and understand an indefinitely large number of sentences, okay, also referred to as creativity. New utterances are continually being created, and the language users manipulate their linguistic resources to produce novel expressions and sentences. A child, for instance, learning a language is active in forming and producing utterances which he or she has never heard before. Yes or no? This is the best example, okay, where we are kind of open-endedness and creativity. Human beings, if you've noticed, and that is how we are able to pick up so many languages, isn't it? not just grown-ups, even a small toddler you see, initially they're all babbling. I mean, some kind of crude sounds, like, yeah, they're not very clear. They're all unclear sounds. Then over a period of time, you notice them, you know, being very creative. At times, you don't even find that, the word as such, but still the child tries to convey using some creative word. Yeah, for something or the, I mean, the child cannot figure out a proper word to that particular action. So they come up with their own creative word. Isn't it? Haven't you watched it in your houses? You might have small kids. Yeah. They come
Yes,
up with,
ma'am.
new words, some new words. And then you will understand by their action. For example, they want a glass of water or a bottle of a kind of milk or something. They don't usually utter that word. Instead, they come up with something new with their actions, isn't it? So that is called, that's a special feature and the difference between language of the human language and animal communication. Okay. And animal communication differs from human language because it lacks creativity of human language. The evidence that animal communication lacks creativity is that animals don't combine small units of meaning into larger ones and then recombine them again in new ways. Next, moving on to the third unit, evolution of language. Okay. This is very, very interesting part of it. How language originated. That there were several theories about the origin of language, especially in the last 4 centuries. But each one comes up with their own theory, but not all the theories were apt and according to the, could not, none of them, in fact. Maybe one theory was, in a way, trying to, be in close, was trying to be, in close, acceptance with one form, whereas the other theory with another one, and it went on, so none of the theories had 100%, correctness in their postulation. Okay, that was how, they couldn't figure out. That was really a mysterious thing, evolution of language, right? So because it was another important factor, why, how, and when, because there was no written records available. Okay. So, but still research has shown that language has existed for at least 50,000 years. And it may have even evolved anytime between, say, for 100,000 and 50,000 years ago. Right. And as this thing, I'll tell you some of the theories of language. I'll tell you. They were, these were some of the theories, not all, of course. The discovery of speech marked the beginning of man. Okay. The first theory was the bow wow theory. Okay. And there was another theory called the ding dong theory. Then the other one was the poo poo theory. Then there was another, the gesture theory. So, but as I told you, none of them were satisfactory. Now, each one was correct up to a point. So, but whatever it is, these were some of the theories they put it across. And there was one again, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia was, and then again, another one was, the ding dong theory. I think I already mentioned this. Onomatopic was.
Where it was started, no one knows, madam.
100,000 years ago, that is what it says in the book, right? Because basically there was no written evidence or documentation about when the language actually started. Okay? Right.
But the Bible, Babel is the place where the languages are changed that place, man. Babylonia, some agree. Babel.
Yeah.
The name
Yes.
in Babel,
Yes.
they call it.
Yes. Egypt. Yeah. Those were the places where, they feel that it would have started actually. Where exactly it originated, we do not know. When it actually originated, when? Okay. Okay. Right.
Ma'am, like before English, there was German, as yesterday you mentioned in the class, right? So it might be some other languages before it started.
Yes.
The evolution took long time back, and we don't know
Exactly.
how it
Yes.
started and all.
Yes. 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 So that is how we'll look into the origin of first man. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So now human evolution is a lengthy process of change by which people originated from ape-like ancestors. Now, scientific evidence shows that the physical and behavioral traits, shared by all people originated from ape-like ancestors. They look like ape, and they slowly evolved over a period of approximately 6 million years. Now, one of the earliest defining human trait, that is the ability to walk on two legs, evolved over 4 million years ago. Now, other important characteristics such as a large and complex brain and the ability to make and use tools and the capacity for language developed more recently. Okay, many advanced traits, including complex symbolic expression, art, and elaborate cultural diversity, emerged mainly during the past 100,000 years. Okay, these are the recent ones, of course, walking on those two legs and using the tools. Okay, and making them. Preparing the tools and using them, and having a brain, the structure of that huge and large and complex brain, they were the most oldest development. They were the traits. Now humans are primates. Now these physical and genetic similarities, they show that the modern human species, Homo sapiens, they have a very close relationship to another group of primate species, the apes. So human and the great apes, or the large apes of Africa, and they share a common ancestor. Even I think chimpanzees and gorillas, they all share a common ancestor that lived between 8 and 6 million years ago. So humans first evolved in Africa, and much of human evolution occurred on that continent, because the fossils of early humans who lived between 6 and 2 million years ago come entirely from Africa. Right. So now these biologists refer to the modern human as Homo sapiens, right? We understood that. But the position of language is such an important part of the definition of the modern human that, you know, they started calling it as talking man. Okay, that I think that should be an appropriate name for the Homo sapiens, talking man. Now, because the humans are the only creatures on earth that possess language. Now, this system of communication, which is the only trait of human beings, I think so. Yeah, this is what it is. Right. Yeah, moving on to the next slide. Right, let me just talk a few things about the first language. Right. So the first language, the fact to note is that the monogenetic theory of language is related to the idea of the monogenetic origin of man. So many scientists, however, maintain that human life originated in many different places on earth. If that was true, it is possible that along with human beings in different pockets, there also arose various prototype languages, which then branched out into innumerable other languages. Okay, so here the first language, which we call it as the prototype, I think so the first language, which we called it as, if you remember yesterday, so one of you had rightly mentioned about the Indo-European family of languages, from where the other languages have branched out. Okay, a language family, we call this as a language family because from where, the Indo-European family, the Proto-Indo-European, from where the other languages have branched out. How does one single language come out in so many forms? Can somebody tell me? When you call this as one single language, how do you think that this would have branched out into so many other languages? Can somebody please just
Due
guess
to the
it?
separation of countries.
Very good. Next.
Social
Geographically, yeah,
yeah.
locations. Very good. Next.
Social
Different
needs
mother tongues.
and
Different mother tongues.
No, why is there a difference? That's what I'm asking. No, my question is that, yeah, very good. I mean, why is there a difference then? If that one language had been spread across, it should have been the same thing. Why do you see so many different languages then on earth? It evolved. I mean, it got kind of, one single language, because it just spread across because of the people. People as human beings have an ability to be creative. They started improving their vocabulary by either adding or by either coining the words in their own style. I mean, the language, in fact. Yes, any other answer from you? No?
Like if we want our child to learn something different, so we will tell them in a different way.
Okay,
So,
yes.
for example, of water, if I want to tell them like this is water in other word, so he will learn in that way. So,
Yes.
like this, people started creating their own languages. Then
Exactly.
divided into all these
Exactly.
things.
That is called evolution. Okay? That
Yes.
is what is
Yes,
called
ma'am.
evolution. For example, if you look at human being, initially when you see the human being, what was it? Like an ape. Now slowly they started to
Yes,
walk, right? Then they slowly started to, and when they got segregated into different locations on the earth, now geographically, according to the climatic conditions and so on, the features of the people also have changed. They have evolved accordingly. Yes or no? Like
Yes,
the
ma'am.
colder climatic conditions, it was kind of different. So similarly, the language also, it started to evolve, and that's how it went on to, branching out into different languages, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, the languages differ from each other in various respects. So, in terms of the sentence structures, in syntax, you all agree languages differ? You all agree with me?
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
there are
Yes.
different languages.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
terms of sentences,
Madam,
yes.
which is the first language? Nobody knows.
I didn't get you. Yeah.
Which is the first language? Dutch or like that?
Oh,
First language.
I
first
believe,
language.
ma'am,
Okay.
that sign language is the first language, I believe, ma'am.
Speech.
Yes.
Sounds was the first thing which evolved. Yeah. Then coming to the gestures, then coming to the pictures on the caves, you would have noticed. Yeah, some of the caves even still they have preserved it. So that was the language. Okay. And when it comes to, was that your question? Have I?
Actually, I thought you have like a Roman language. Roman people, they started from
That's what.
Latin.
Yes.
Latin. And some Greek, they say that we are the first language. But after printing press only, we understand, no? This
exactly. The printing machine, the print, when it came up, only then we started to realize, and that actually fixed the spelling and pronunciation and grammar of language. That's different. But even prior to the printing part of it, when you look at it, as I told you, there is one language called Proto-Indo-European language. From there, so many other languages evolved. That's the main tree. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
One doubt.
Yes.
Why we call it American English and British English when both are same?
No, both are not same.
Okay.
British English is received pronunciation. That is, the pronunciation is different. Their spellings are different, but they are both are of English, but different dialects. Okay. Yeah, like Telugu. Telugu is common in India. Yeah. You see Telugu in Telugu regions, but don't you see the difference in Telugu? Similarly, English is same for British and American, but there is a difference in their pronunciation, in their spellings. Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's the reason why we follow British English. This is very particular because even our, when you type a word called organize on a computer, it takes it as an error and it shows a red mark under that word when you use
that is because American has it.
American. In American, it is different.
So, for color also we see different spelling.
Yes. So
color,
that's how.
center.
Yes, very correct. Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of difference in. So there are basically so many other Englishes also. You have African English, Australian English, you have New Zealand English, Indian English. Yeah. So now how languages differ? Yes, they differ in terms of syntax, they differ in terms of word structure, sound structure, and vocabulary. This is how they differ. Okay. Right. Now there is something called language universal.
Lexis.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Lexis.
Lexis is word. Vocabulary.
Lexicographer, we call it.
Lexicon is nothing but words, right? Content words or what? The vocabulary part of it. Lexicon.
Like idioms, we can take it.
No.
No. Okay.
Take just the, what do you call this? Dictionary, lexicographer. Whatever words we are getting, each word is called lexic.
Yes.
Lexicon.
Got it? Now, the person who asked the doubt, did you get it, ma'am?
Okay, madam. Once again, repeat syntax and lexis.
What? I didn't get you.
That's I want to know, madam. Just I want to know syntax and lexis.
Syntax is the sentence structure, right? Then
like
the words,
subject, verb plus object.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Now look at this. What I'm trying to show is every language differs in these categories. Okay, in these, like, the lexicon, there will be a lexicon difference, there will be a sentence structure difference, there's a word structure difference. Okay, you all agree? Because my Telugu and Tamil, there is a difference in word structure, there's a difference in sentence structure. Yeah?
Yes.
That is what
is the study of combination of words, and he said that Japanese like that they speak different language like that, no?
Yes. No. Sometimes, no. Let me tell you. No. I'll tell you the sentence structure. Like you have sentence. What is the structure? Usually, you have a subject, a predicate, an object, right? In a proper order. But there are certain sentence patterns where for the tense also they don't change. For the time also doesn't affect in some other languages. Yeah, for the past tense or a present and a future, it doesn't change. In some of other languages, the pattern of the sentence doesn't change. In some, it changes. So that is what I'm saying, syntax, the pattern of the sentence, the structure of a sentence. So it differs in different languages. Okay. So then sound structure. Yeah. Sound structure, phonology, vocabulary, the lexicon. Okay. Right. Now, there is something called language universals. What does it mean when I say language universals? There is something which is quite common in all the languages. That is called as language universals. So you might be wondering, just now Madam told there's a difference in these aspects. Now again, Madam says there is something similar. Okay. Now what is it they have? I mean, what is it they all have in common? See, all the languages have consonants and vowels. Yes. Now they combine sounds into larger units. See, I'm not saying same consonants and same vowels. I am saying all languages have consonants and vowels. They have nouns, they have words for people and objects. Okay. All languages have verbs, words for actions. All languages have words that can combine words, and they can all the languages can say who did what to who, and they can negate utterances. They can ask questions, involve structure, dependence, involve. I mean, there's so many things which are in common for all the languages. You all accept it? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now coming to the evolution of English. This is our present thing. From here, we are going to talk about only English, not about the language in general, but English in specific. Okay. So when I talk about this evolution of English.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Tell me.
Can you please once tell about metaphor?
Metaphor?
Yeah.
Metaphor is a device, or you can call it as a speech where you use it to say something more effectively. It's not like a simile where you don't use it as or like. You kind of
comparing. Ma'am, it's comparing two different things without using
like and as.
Yeah, it's an internal. I mean to say, you won't find those words. It's internal.
Yes. So they are like, see, for example, lion is the king of jungle. Did I ever use as and like there? Lion is like a king of a jungle. Did I say that?
No, ma'am.
No. Lion is the king of jungle. I'm attributing that quality of kingship to the lion directly. I am calling it as a king of the jungle. Okay? Yeah. Okay, nice. And may I request you, please, last few minutes, can we have these kind of discussions? Because the flow of my course might get interrupted. I am really open to clarify all your queries. Maybe you can put it in the chat box. Or maybe at the end of this class, maybe I'll spare some time for your queries. Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Because when I'm explaining, the others might get distracted. I have no issues explaining it, but the others, when there's a flow, continuation, then only they can, the evolution of English. Right. So English, as we all know, right. 1 second. Let me just take you to. One second. Somebody is dozing off. My lecture is like a lullaby. Yeah. I need to wake them up, I think so. One second. I'm just opening another. Right. So here we go. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Right. So the history of English language. So when it actually started, let me tell you, say approximately around 5th century. Okay. where, as I told you, when these, the German tribes have invaded, uh, around 5th century or so, they have come up, they have invaded, and along with them, they have come up with their language. So that is how probably the Old English has actually started. And now look at this text here. Can somebody read it? No. Can you?
No,
No.
we can't.
No, we
No,
can't.
ma'am.
Yeah. So why? Because
No,
it is
ma'am.
Old English. Okay. So when you look at the evolution of English, it is divided into Old English, Middle English, and Modern English. Okay. So what are the three periods of English language? You please tell me.
Old English, Middle English,
Modern English.
and the
Modern
modern
English.
English.
Modern English. Okay. Now, if you look at this, this is of completely the Old English period. Now, look at the words, the spellings of it. Absolutely, I mean, you can't figure it out, the spelling or. Now you look at it, this is the prayer, okay? The Lord's Prayer in Old English, and this is the current, the modern English. Now you can read it, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So there's a lot of difference. So if you happen to come across any script of the olden period, it's very difficult to read it, right? So that was Old English period, right? Now look at these words over here. Yeah. Now here in the first word in Indo-European thing, you can read it, right? The yellow slide, the Sanskrit Pita, okay? And the Greek it is pater, then Latin it is pater, father, and father, as per the modern English. Okay. So this is how it evolved from that part, from that word in Greek, they called it that way. In Latin, it was that. In Germany and in English, and so on, right? So basically, the part of the country, the Britain or so-called England, was ruled by Romans, and the people then were Celts, okay? And later on, these Germanic tribes invaded the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, and they have driven these people out into Wales, towards the north part of that country, like Scotland and so on. And they started to occupy that place. And then later, around 800, and so they brought with them this kind of a Germanic English, okay? And that's called as Anglo-Saxon or Old English, okay? And just now you have read that script. It is totally, I mean, you just cannot comprehend it, isn't it? You cannot figure out what exactly that it is. So Old English, when you look at the modern English, not many words are retained now. Most of them have changed, okay? Then during that period, like, yeah, Pujita, any doubt, ma?
Ma'am, slide is, you kept the slide the different one.
What is it you can see? You please tell me. I'll try to change it. It talks about England, Germanic tribes, Vikings, and Celts, Romans, Normans. Is it so?
Now yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then around 800 or so, Vikings invaded. Okay. And they were called as Norsemen. And they brought with them some kind of, their words, and the Danish and all such people have invaded. And then the language, so-called Old English period, or the Old English language, got some more new words from these Viking invasion. Then moving further towards 11 to 1200 BC, AD, then the Normans or the French people have invaded. Okay. And then again, the French words have come into it. Right? So now the so-called Old English or the Anglo-Saxon was known as Anglo-Norman, the English which was called as the Anglo-Norman. Okay. Then, yeah. So if you look at this chart over here, the pie diagram, you can see the number of words which have come into this English language, the percentage of words from other languages which have come into this. Yeah, Latin, French, Germanic, Greek. Then you have derived words which were derived from proper nouns or from proper names. So this is what I told you, right? So the Romans in 43 AD were, they were the ones who have actually occupied the Celtic Britain and made it part of the Roman Empire. And they were good administrators, in fact. They've brought a lot of, they made it a quite civilized and administration there in that piece of land. So around 410 AD, there was an end of Roman rule. Now the Celts were left without the protection of the Roman army, right? Then started with the tribal people started to invade it, which I've already narrated, right? So if you look at the Old English, they were the descendants of the German language spoken by Angles and Saxons, right? And 5th century AD, this is how I'm trying to give you some points about the historical figure about this. So 5th century AD, Angles and Saxons, then all these tribal people from the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes have united to become Anglo-Saxons. Now their language is called as English, I already told you. Yeah, from where the English has originated. Now, because this was a land which was occupied by Angles, it was called Anglo land, or it's also called England. That's how the word has come from, Anglo land, Angland, or England. Okay, it's called the land of Angles. Now, the Old English spoken by Anglo-Saxon people looks incomprehensible to today's English speakers, but there are a few words which were retained, such as day. This is an Old English word, day, year, and so on. Okay. Now, these are some of the characteristic features of the old poetry, which I think not required for you. Right. Right. Now, when you talk about the evolution of this English language, now the evolution or the change started to happen in terms of spelling, in terms of pronunciation, in terms of grammar. Okay. Why in spelling? Because as you all know, the printing machine, which was invented during early modern English period. Okay. Hence, there was they started to fix the spelling of the words. Okay. And then earlier, prior to this printing thing, the words were, spelt in different ways. I mean, there was no one proper common spelling for a word. Only after the printing machine was invented, then there was a commonality among the spellings of the words. Same thing happened with pronunciation. When once the spelling was fixed, the pronunciation also. And when it started, when the people started publishing in the books, then it started to have a common spelling and a fixed pronunciation to it. Okay. Then coming to the grammar, in terms of grammar, there was a great vowel shift. Okay. Say, for example, in the beginning of the 12th century, and it just went on till 18th century. Okay, where the sounds of the long stressed vowels in English changed their places of articulation. That was called as the great vowel shift. Okay. Now, if you look at this slide, you will understand it. For example, it actually, the great vowel shift shift happened with only the long vowels, okay, the long vowel sounds. So house, for example, it was horse as per Old English. Now it became ow, okay. Then whiff, weave, if you look at the Old English pronunciation, became wife, okay. Similarly, the spoon part of it, yeah. Then break, okay. And same thing, the life also was pronounced as life, L-I-F-E earlier, but then it became leaf for the modern English period, right? Okay. I see some comments in the chat box. Yeah, tell me, what is it? I'm done with the class for today. Maybe in the next session, I will kind of do a bit of recapitulation of what I have taught in this class and then move on to the other one. So now, do you have any doubts? Do I have to repeat something, or do you have something too?
Ma'am, do we have phonics sounds class?
Yes, we do have it in the third block. Hey, I think you didn't come across, you didn't read your textbook. Just have a
No,
look
ma'am,
at.
we didn't receive book, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do have it.
Okay, ma'am.
Right, we do have it.
Okay.
Yeah. So with this, we finish the session. Yes. How to use a syllable? How to use a syllable? What does it mean? I didn't get you. Okay, by the way, have you again got the idea of uploading the assignment? The other day you were asking me. Yeah? Do you want me to give some instructions about that? Okay, next class.
Some
I'll
of
tell
them
you.
have.
Yeah, please tell me.
Not everyone, ma'am. Some of them may be having it.
Okay, right. So next class, I think I'll brief you about this. Because I've come across a nice video about the assignments thing. So I thought I'll share it with you. Okay. And the PPT is also, after all the sessions, after I complete all my sessions, I'll share it with you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it for the day. So what do you have in the next session? Which class you have?
Ma'am, can you now
Literacy critics.
Literary criticism, ma'am.
Oh, literary criticism. Right. Okay. See you all.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Can you please share the PPT now?
Yeah, somebody call.
So we can.
Definitely. I will share it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want me to share it after each and every class? I think only after I finish all the sessions. Maybe at least let me complete 2 or 3 blocks. Yeah, that will be nice.
Okay. Please share it now so we can go through them.
Go through it.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll do it. I'll share the link.
Thank you.
Then I don't have your number. Deepika or somebody was your admin, right? She's still there as an admin?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Deepika there? Is she there in the class now? I don't think so.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll share it with her and I'll ask her to share it, put it in the group.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, guys. Do you have another group?
No, ma'am.
No, I am a student. I'm not
Okay.
ma'am. Ma'am said that Deepika and admin, she said no?
I'm new to everything, ma'am. I'm
Okay,
new,
okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then.
What is the next class time?